So today on the episode, we discuss the process for developing Searching for a King. We're going to look at the pre-production, the production, and the post-production. This is a continuation from the last episode that we shot where we talked about following the Messiah. Welcome to inRoads, where we talk about the why of Appian Media and how you can use the technology of today to spread the timeless message of the Bible. Learn more about us and watch the free videos that are available at appianmedia.org. So we're joined by Jet Kaiser. He was our director of photography for Searching for a King. And Craig DeHutt is one of the co-founders. I'm Stu. I'm the other co-founder. And we're going to just pull the curtain back a little bit. And that's what the curtain sounds like.
Hello, everyone. The curtain needs some work.
It needs a little bit of oil. And talk a little bit about what it took to make Searching for a King. And I guess to start it off, it was very different than Following the Messiah. And that started from the very beginning. So, Jet, kind of tell us what we did in pre-production to make this feel and look different than Following the Messiah.
Yeah. We definitely knew what we were doing, this time around. Searching for a King, I think for me at least, was a good opportunity for us to just kind of take a deep breath and shift gears a little bit and think, Following the Messiah was a product. It was a story in and of itself, and it's great and wonderful. And now that it's given over to the people now, what's next? So, it was really, I think for me, it wasn't about doing the same thing again. Because I think, there's always ways to improve. There's always ways to challenge yourself and test the waters and see what this can be. Because even Following the Messiah was uncharted territory. Mm-hmm. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't really know what it looked like. None of our donors even knew what this was going to look like because we didn't know either. After doing that, Searching for a King, it was like, well, we know what we're doing now. At least we got our feet wet. Let's play with this a little bit. Let's see what we can do. And I think that was really fun for us all to really to jump in and really work on shaping it more, giving it a look and playing around with a lot of the different visual elements and ways of storytelling that maybe I didn't feel I had the flexibility to the first time around. Being a newcomer and all that, I felt like maybe the style was set, and then now this next project. What would you do differently? So, Stu, you and I, we got together a couple different times and we chatted about, the look of it, maybe more so the feel of it. Yeah. I like to say the feel of it because that means different things. The feel of something, it's not something that you can touch or smell, whatever. It's something that you really have to be engrossed with. Mm-hmm. So, we had some good conversations about what this could look like.
And I want to talk about collaboration in a second because you're right. This was very different from Following the Messiah where something was set already when you guys came onto the scene. But first, Craig, I want to ask you about why in the world did we go from Following the Messiah, a story about the life of Jesus, to the United Kingdom of Israel? What was the thought process? Because I think it was your idea that you came to the table with.
Right. And to some, it might seem like a odd jump.
Right.
You're jumping backwards hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. We're suddenly going Old Testament. We're trying to cover not just the life of one person, Jesus, but we're attempting to cover really what I would say would be four main characters: Samuel, Saul, David, and Solomon. Yeah. Very different, and yet the connection really did seem clear. Jesus was the promised Messiah, the descendant of the king. And what better way to help set up why Jesus was so important than to go back and talk about David, this man after God's own heart. It seemed like an obvious place to start, and it would allow us, like you said, Jet, to try some new things. I don't know if I'd say it's a darker story, but it feels different. It was a less established period of time in Israel. Things were a bit more cutthroat, I'd say. And you and Stu wanted to create a look and a feel and a style that would help represent that. And we use that word feel to do exactly what it sounds like. We wanted people to experience it and see the visuals and feel something different.
Yeah. So when we created Following the Messiah, honestly, year one, it was Craig and I who said, let's do the story of Jesus. We brought our experiences to the table, and then you, Jeremy, and Barry kind of came on board after that had been decided. So by the time I got to Following the Messiah Part 2, it had already been decided. There had been a style set. We couldn't really change it. Searching for a King was really the first time that we got to do something different. Talk about the collaboration that started with Searching for a King. I think specifically to the round table discussions we had in Bowling Green back before we started.
Well, a lot of the magic happens, though, when you get all the creative forces together in one room and you start coming up with ideas that you never even thought. And you take someone proposes something, you think, it's not half bad. I see where you're going with that. Can I take what's in my head and marry it together? And you do that enough times, it starts to just grow and grow and grow. It's like, let's go shoot it now, because this thing is really taking shape. So the collaboration was excellent, was absolutely excellent. In our meetings, when we get the whole team together, some great things happen. That's what I like about Appian Media so much, is the ability to give everybody a voice, because coming from commercial video production world, a lot of times I'm hired to show up, run a camera, keep your mouth shut, right? Because we got this all figured out. Even if you think that you have I wish it could be. No, you're not paid for your voice. You're paid for, just running that camera. So glad Appian Media it's kind of a place of peace. It's kind of a place where you can feel that you can feel free to speak up and exercise. So Searching for a King, I think, was a good product of that, being able to have those deeper conversations about how we want our viewers to feel when they watch this. You really want to motivate. I mean, we weren't just trying to figure out a neat way to show pretty pictures to people in Bible classes, but really motivate. And if you can get people to feel how the story is feeling and kind of shape them, can you put those people in those positions? Can you get them to think as this lead character is thinking, and feel the pain and feel the hurt, or feel the triumph? All those things it doesn't just happen by accident. That it takes a lot of conversation.
And when we started talking about the style for this, and you mentioned how it was dark, we started talking about the use of light and the lack thereof, because there were several instances within Searching for a King where we knew we were going to be in dark places. And honestly, as you said, it was a dark time for Israel. It was kind of there was a lot of questions. And I think that was kind of something that we took into consideration with the collaboration.
Yeah, because when you you always think about lights, camera, action, right? Sometimes it's, hey, how about we don't have lights? How about we allow this environment to exist as we found it, and really kind of play with that? And sometimes that requires us to just not bring our lights in, shoot. There was times we shot in complete darkness,
right? Because
that's how it was.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a single source light, or it's just the lights that the talent was holding. Like, remember when we were in the caves, and it was the only way we lit the scene was by a headlamp and by a torch.
Yeah.
Well, how you think about David and his men being in the cave of Adullam, like, it wasn't a bright supermarket lighting in there,
right?
It would have been dark in there. And so a lot of the scenes were darker, at least a little less light.
Yeah, and there are so many places in Israel that are so developed, so commercialized. They're constructed in ways to encourage tourism.
Right.
And so these well-lit pathways and these open spaces where they've brought in artificial things to make the tourist experience better. And we, especially for this one, we're really trying to minimize that as much as possible.
Right.
And so I remember the tunnels underneath of the city of David, right? So the Gihon Springs and the shaft, Warren's shaft, where, they had lights and they said, we cranked on the lights for you. You guys are ready to go. And Stu was like, who do we talk to get those turned off?
They're scratching their heads like, what?
Because when Warren found this shaft, and potentially when David's men went up the shaft to take Jerusalem, he didn't have path lighting.
I'm not sure there's any potentially about it. I'm pretty sure there was no path lighting for Joab and his.
And you were trying to, we all were trying to capture the places as close to what they looked like during the time as we could.
Throughout Following the Messiah and Searching for a King, the viewer is living vicariously through Jeremy specifically, and Barry too. And so going into a cave and giving them a flashlight where they have to kind of shine their light around and explore things at the same time means that the viewer is exploring with them. If, like you said, we had gone in there and lit the place up like a supermarket, then there's no exploration to it. You walk in and you see it and go, this is really cool, and that's it.
And more than that, though, when you have your on-screen talent that they are actually discovering. They're not just faking discovery.
Yeah.
Go think about our time with Scott, at Shiloh, where he's digging stuff out of the ground. Like, Stu, I know you didn't go there before us and hide those pieces of pottery in the wall and think, oh, you guys are going to find this and this is what you're going to talk about. No, like we're there, cameras are rolling, and he's digging, and these pieces of animal bone and pieces of pottery are falling off, and they're put in the fines bucket. The excitement that you would actually have if you were finding pottery in ancient Israel, that's the excitement that we wanted to have, because if people are discovering on camera, the viewers are discovering through them. Yeah. And that was just a very important element to have.
And to the dig at Shiloh specifically, my background is in reality TV. If you don't know already, reality TV is not reality.
I, by the way, am the worst person to watch reality TV with because I ruin it for everybody.
You're a horrible person. There's so many people out there that believe it's reality. No, but it's a good point. Is in reality TV, you want to make sure things go a certain direction. And we don't do that with documentaries. We don't do that with Following the Messiah or Searching for a King. And so, there were things that we were genuinely discovering on camera that you just couldn't plan better than that. So I want to talk about Searching for a King, and I want to get your stories ready. I want to think about some specific stories that we have from the 2 weeks that we were in Israel, and specifically how it was a very different 2 weeks than it would have been for Following the Messiah, because it was. But we're going to stop for just a second and thank our sponsors for sponsoring this podcast. We're thrilled to have One Boat Rescue Boats sponsoring this week's podcast. They're based in Athens, Alabama, and make multi-purpose rescue boats for fire departments, military use, and other public servants. Thanks to One Boat Rescue Boats for sponsoring the inRoads podcast and Appian Media. You can visit their website at theoneboat.com. You can also find more information about our sponsors in this episode's show notes. So, the 2 weeks that we were in Israel, we were in different places than we were for Following the Messiah. As I think it was mentioned already, a lot of the places where Jesus was are very built up. There's a lot of tourists there. We were going to dig sites. We were going inside, warehouses, places that tourists didn't go. What are some things? I'm going to start with Craig this time. Oh my goodness!
I'm not ready.
But no, I want to talk about a specific instance where you were just taken back with Searching for a King. Some stories that we can share.
Taken back. Wow. I mean, I'll take it. I'm sure it's a story that we all talk about, but the Cave of Adullam is mentioned for a few verses, right? In the account of those first kings. David is running from Saul. He's trying with the men who have come with him, hundreds of men, to find a safe place of refuge. And the scriptures talk about this cave. And so we had never been. Barry had never been.
Right.
And we get taken up to this completely desolate area. There is not a gift shop or bathroom, for that matter, anywhere around. And we start shooting our scene in this, what seems to me to be a fairly small like living room sized space.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy and Barry are talking about it and trying to do their best to tell a story about this space and the potentially hundreds of people that must have been there. And we just said, why don't you guys go exploring before we go? There are some entryways, some other places. Let's go exploring. And Jeremy was like super giddy to do it. And they just go deeper and deeper and deeper into the caves. And so when you watch these videos and you hear Jeremy say, I can't believe this, it just keeps going on.
Yeah.
Barry, go check this out. And Barry, oh my. You know, those are legit responses that it just kept opening up to, I mean, we didn't even see the whole system. Clearly hundreds of people could have been in there. And to me, it was the Valley of Elah, where a little verse that said David and hundreds of men hid out in this place. If the cave was too small, that story would not have been true. It couldn't have been. But of course, the cave was big enough. The Valley of Elah, the brook was on the right side.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. The brook was on Israel's side, not Philistine side.
Yeah.
So it was those little things that it's like this could not have been manufactured.
Right.
The story could not have been made up. The cave was big enough.
And isn't that the fact though, with the more that they dig, the more that they uncover in the Bible lands, the more truth is revealed.
Yep.
That's just how it is. And as Christians, we are not afraid of people digging in these old lands, thinking that they're going to uncover something that's untrue. No, I'm not afraid, because every time they do it, they are uncovering more truth. You know, it's not, you don't need that. I don't need those discoveries for my faith, but boy, it's kind of exciting though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the Cave of Adullam, you know, Shiloh, those places, you almost do feel like a modern day Indiana Jones when you're discovering those places. And that's kind of a fun thing. So, Jet, what do you think? What was something that you...
Well, you segue into it talking about Indiana Jones because, you know, one of my highlights of that trip was going to one of the storehouses owned by the Israeli Antiquities Authority.
Oh, yes.
And of course, going there with, you know, a host that was Scott Stripling, you know, and he's uncovered many of the artifacts that are in there and they're being stored. But I remember when we first got there, we're thinking, well, we got to shoot this scene in here. I'm thinking, how can you think about scene work when you're standing here? Because you're just, you walk into this place and it is just wall to wall, floor to ceiling of nothing but artifacts that are categorized and stored and cleaned, and they're there. Yeah. And you can walk down the road and just touch all these things. I didn't touch too much because I'm afraid of breaking things, but being able to be in there and to be surrounded by things that support what we read about in the Bible. And some of the things were newer than that, but some of the things were very, very ancient, you know, and being dug up, and some of the big pots and vases they had to kind of fit back together. It's all there. And I think about how much more, you know, is still out there. Yeah, that to me was probably, you know, one of the bigger highlights of Searching for a King was the storehouse and all those artifacts.
Do you remember what Scott Stripling said when we were in there, that currently only 5% of the lands of the Bible have been dug up. Right. 95% of it is still underground. And only 1% of that 5% is stored in the IAA warehouse. Right. And yet that warehouse, what did he say, was like the size of 2 football fields?
At least. And then we went upstairs.
And then we went upstairs, and there was a parking lot like full of pillars and things that we didn't even really look at much.
Yeah.
And I remember, I've seen that episode countless times now, but when Scott says that, you can hear the audience go, whoa.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
2 football fields of evidence. This is a real place. These were real things and real people.
Absolutely. Pretty fantastic. And, you know, and you've mentioned Scott, and we used several other experts in Searching for a King. And that was actually a big style change from Following the Messiah, because in Following the Messiah, it was Jeremy and Barry walking through the lands and talking about these places, and Barry was really the tour guide there. We decided to interject experts into Searching for a King to help shine light on the story. Sure. And Scott Stripling, of course, is an archaeologist that works on the dig at Shiloh. We used a woman named Honorina Heyman. She was our expert at the City of David, kind of going through what is believed to be the ruins of David's palace. And then we used a gentleman by the name of Gabriel Barkai, who is an archaeologist, probably one of the leading archaeologists in all of Israel.
Oh, yes, Dr. Barkai.
And he is one of the leading experts on the Temple Mount and the archaeology that's being done at the Temple Mount. And it's a fascinating story. We're going to have to use some sound from that interview in a future podcast. But, of course, they are working on the Temple Mount sifting project, which looks at rubble that was taken out of the Temple Mount during a construction dig, and some of the facts and artifacts that are being discovered that point to Solomon's temple, which is very fascinating. But the point being that we decided to use third-party experts for searching for king. And I think it added another layer to the series that is just really fantastic and just adds so much depth to the series. And
it also legitimizes it. Right?
I think it does.
Not that what we were doing was illegitimate, but when you've got someone, you have to understand that Dr. Barkai is a well-respected, around the world. This man is well respected for the work that he's been doing for decades and decades, and he agreed to spend an afternoon with us, to help us tell this story.
It really is a fascinating thing. So, we only
have a favorite thing? You were about to dodge the question, and I kind of want to.
Oh man,
put you on the spot.
Wow, being at Shiloh was amazing. Honestly, being in the lab that we went in after Shiloh was amazing because just seeing the whole archaeological process was amazing to me because,
fun.
You don't really know much about archaeology unless you're there doing it, but it's a very particular process. And with the artifacts that are coming out of the ground, they're not just like shovel, dig, here's another oil lamp, throw it over their shoulder and on to the next thing. It's meticulous, and it's meticulous because of making sure that it's all within context, which is a fascinating concept because of the fact that it's exactly what we do with Appian Media, and it's exactly what we do with the Bible, which is keep it in context. And that's what they're doing with archaeology, which even more, as you were saying, legitimizes what's being done with that. So I mean that maybe that's a softball answer to your question,
a little bit, but I'll take it.
It really was. That whole first episode is just fascinating to watch with Scott and Jeremy.
It's hard to narrow it down to one thing.
It is.
People ask us that at all of our premieres, right? What was your favorite part? It's like that's like asking me which one is my favorite child.
Yeah, it's tough. You can't do that.
The answer is going to be different every time.
That's right. It depends on the day of the week.
Yeah, sometimes my son is my favorite. Sometimes I'm kidding. The answer in the Bible lands, which is our favorite part, I'm going to get grief for that.
As you should.
I
only have one child, and he's
love
my
them
favorite.
all the same.
He's my favorite.
So in the last few minutes that we have, I don't want to shortchange, again, post-production, but it's a big process. This time it was different because you both were involved at a deeper level in post-production. Craig has historically been the one that kind of pieced together the timelines. This year, instead of it just staying in Craig's camp for color and sound, we threw it to Jet to do color and sound and music, and that added another element. So I want to talk specifically for a minute with you, Jet, what your role was in the post-production and why it was so important to the final product.
Yeah, well, you think no big movie or documentary ever falls on one person to handle afterwards, because it's so much. People devalue post-production so much. I think, why don't we have something to show a couple weeks after you get back? I'm thinking, you don't understand. You don't understand because
we haven't even finished watching it all.
Yeah, right. You're exactly right. So just the fact that you have to sit there, I don't know how many 2 weeks or so just reviewing footage and just
3 to 4 to review it all.
See,
wow.
I don't even know.
Wow.
But I came in, I was kind of more of the, I don't know what you want to call it, but more of the final stages of editing, or at least post work, going with, what feel we wanted, trying to continue that feel, what we talked about in pre-production, what we tried to accomplish in production, in country. We wanted to carry through. So, I spent weeks working on all of the things that you hear. So cleaning up a lot of the mics and making sure all the vocals are at a good level so you can understand everybody, trying to come up with a good balance of music and not music. Should it be musical? Should it be like a little soft music video? Or, can music just kind of exist and take you to places and then drop you off somewhere where you're there again? Sound is a big part of what we do. Sound is a big part. We're visual storytellers, but we're storytellers in the very general sense as well, because half of the product is sound. I work very hard to try to get good sound, but
yeah, and we forget too, because when we go to these places, there's sound there, and I forget. Our brain tunes it out, but there are birds chirping, there are crickets, there are people. There's people talking. There's waves crashing, and it's easy in post-production to kind of forget that. It's working in your memory, but the viewer needs it too. And you did such a good job. I remember watching your contribution to it and watching your cuts and just smiling like an idiot because the sounds that I had forgotten were present. You were there enhancing the water flowing through the streams of Engedi.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that.
Sure.
That's
you
what
get
I heard.
fully immersed.
Yeah.
When sound comes into the picture, you get fully immersed in a place. And that's a powerful thing, because when you're telling a story with video, you're trying to suck somebody in. The senses are working, and sound is just a big part
sound
of it.
It's a huge part of it, because I say over and over again that I think we were tasked with trying to bring the Bible lens to people, because even my congregation just got done doing the Following the Messiah series at our congregation. And there were people that spoke up to me after, one of the classes, like, well, I'll never go to Israel. Like, too dangerous, or, I won't have the money or whatever. But they say, but I felt kind of like I got pretty close to it. And I'm like thinking,
yeah,
that's what we want to hear, because, and having good visuals and having sound, if you were to take somebody and drop them, in Engedi, they're going to hear the birds. They're going to, see and hear the water. I hear next time we're going to have smell vision. Right?
Smell vision.
Oh,
so
man.
you can actually smell the camels and
the smell of the camels. I can kind of
you can leave without that. Yeah, I wonder what effect Following the Messiah and Searching for a King are having on people's experience in Israel. I wonder if Barry and Dan are starting to get comments like, "It's just like I saw in the videos."
Wouldn't that be nice?
And that would be amazing if they did.
Well, I have heard people ask us about the series because they are preparing to take a tour over there and they want to prep the travelers.
That's great.
And so they'll go through the Following the Messiah to get them ready for what to expect. I mean, so I will say editing this project was different. It was different on a variety of levels, and responsibilities were different. And I think Jet and I worked together well. There was some kind of push and pull there for a little while.
Adding some pressure too.
Yeah.
Especially with episode 1. Episode 1 really was going to set the pace and set the feel for the whole thing. And I didn't have it. I didn't have it. I couldn't see it like you and Stu could see it. So I remember putting that first cut out, and I knew it was too long. I knew it wasn't flowing right, but I couldn't quite get my finger on it. Yeah. And Jet just very humbly said, can I take a whack at it? And I was so whack, this was my trouble child at this point. And I was like, you take it. Yeah. I'm moving on to episode 2. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with it. And he came back and he took a whack at it. And after I kind of mopped my pride up off the floor a little bit, said, you know what? This is better. This is better than what I had done. And that to me is I think the best way of summarizing post-production is it was better than if I had done it by myself.
That's the collaboration.
And I believe that it was better than if we had handed the whole thing off to Jet. Absolutely. Jet probably would have killed one or both of us.
And that's the beauty of the collaboration.
That's how it works.
Yeah. But at the same time, you being an editor, both of you guys edit, but you can get so close to something for so long. I mean, we lock Craig in that closet, right, for months and say, give us some good product. And I think you can look at the same thing so many times that you almost forget, or something happens. So when you share it, even when you share it with a focus group or whatever, and they say, that didn't really appeal to me. I don't know what appealed to me. What's wrong with you? But you know what? If enough people say that, you think, well, actually, I'm wrong. That was a bad cut. That was my bad because it didn't translate like I thought it was because I was so close to it. Mm-hmm. And you can be so in love with your work and yourself. You think it's the greatest thing in the world. And then you share it with people. I have this happen to me daily. They're like, I get my feelings hurt for a living, and then they say, no, that's really bad.
But again, it comes down to, is it going to accomplish the mission?
Right.
And if the answer is no, change it.
Yeah.
Or get rid of it altogether.
Yeah.
Because we are trying to connect people with the word.
Right. Yeah.
And if this cut or this scene or this shot is distracting them,
sure.
Yeah. Or you take a slice of humble pie and you get rid of it.
Yeah. Or the point was just missed. I think, sometimes you can get analysis paralysis, and you can get so close to something that you missed it. And you need those other voices to balance you out, because if you put all that on one person, it's not going to work. It's just not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. But, I think over the past 3 years, we've all learned a lesson in humiliation and being humble, and then working together as a team. And it isn't. I mean, like we've talked about it before, that none of this is because of one person. It's because of this collaborative team effort, and it's only getting more. The projects we have scheduled to come are even more collaborative, and that's even more exciting. So hopefully we can talk about those in a future episode of inRoads. So we're going to wrap it up for today.
I do want to throw in a quick plug, because one other thing that we added
Searching for a King is great.
Searching for a King is great. You should definitely go and see it. I don't get tired of watching this one.
No,
I'll throw that out there. But we also did bring on an extra team member during this process as well, and we used Justin Dobbs to work alongside of Jeremy, and the two of them crafted an exceptional study guide for this series. I was given the opportunity to actually use it and teach my local congregation.
Really good.
Phenomenal. And again, it's the same thing between you and me, Jet, where Jeremy said, I'm not going to be able to do this by myself. And so we brought in this extra help, and it was better, the two of them, than either one of them could have done by themselves.
And those study guides are something we haven't mentioned a whole lot thus far, but they are such a powerful tool that complement the videos.
Yes.
That I think that we're going to need to have Justin and Jeremy on the podcast to talk.
Two are better.
Further.
Can we learn that in the Bible?
Two are better.
Sounds familiar.
Better, so. But anyway, thanks for listening to this episode of the inRoads podcast. We have the next episode coming up is going to really discuss the creation of this content versus fundraising to create this content. And it's really a very interesting listen as we talk about, why we want to make this content versus spend our time fundraising for this content. Mm-hmm. So anyway,
Jet, thanks for coming.
Yeah. It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
It's a lot of fun. So we'll definitely have to have you back. But inRoads is a production of Appian Media, and we're a nonprofit video production company that is 100% crowdfunded. So if you're interested in learning more about how you can support Appian Media or watching Searching for a King, which is completely free, go to our website to learn more. Visit appianmedia.org/inroads. Thanks so much to Jet and Craig. We'll see you next time.